Okay, good question. Supreme Court case. SCOTUS gave this opinion um, yesterday. Okay, it remains to be seen how SPED funding, how SPED funding will be affected. But it seems to me that parochial school can no longer be excluded from FAPE simply because it is parochial. Now, the decision itself had to do with the Montana legislature creating sort of a voucher system, a tax credit for parent choice with regards to where they want to send their child. And what what the Montana State Supreme Court had determined in 2018 was uh, that those funds couldn't be used for religious schools. Now, the Supreme Court, the issue is that discriminatory? And yes, it is, because the Constitution guarantees freedom of religion. And what Justice Roberts correctly determined in the majority opinion was that if Montana is having a program like that, and they don't have to provide the program at all, but if they do, they can't sit there and selectively discriminate against some schools, and those some schools were religious schools. And I know that some will argue, a separation of church and state. That's not the state government acknowledging or creating a state religion simply because they're providing parents the option to send their child using their own money, because that's what state taxes come from, is a collection of state money, and so they're using their own money through tax credits to send their children to religious schools, and so therefore you can't discriminate against that. So I don't disagree with that opinion at all. Now, what does that do with special education? There's already provisions within special education, guys, to where it's tucked at the very end of special education law on the funding formulas and the funding mechanisms. And there's already provisions in the IDEA that require for some fund sharing with regards to private schools existing within the boundaries of the school system itself. And those things are factored in. Now, a lot of that stuff is gray areas. There's a lot of it is there's a lot of flexibility on whether that's done and in what manner. But if the state government has created these kind of environments to where they have these voucher type of systems, tax credit tuition systems like Montana has, then at that point, yes, Montana has got to figure out what that means pertaining to children that have IEPs that qualify for special education. I have not looked into Montana's laws on special education because we don't practice there, so I can't tell you what those look like. But many states have these type of uh, private school voucher programs, and I know that like always, there's always those who feel like that's just of the devil. How dare people be given choice, and public education should be the only thing. I have people out there that hate homeschoolers, and my wife and I homeschool three of our uh, remaining children in the house, and one goes to school because she has an IEP. So we're homeschoolers. Well, a foot in each camp. What I'm saying is there's opinions, strong opinions, but I think that parents should be given choices, because I don't, until we fix the nonsense with regards to these arbitrary geographic boundaries, to where this city school with all the funding in a nice socioeconomic area, and then 1 mile away is one of the worst districts. I mean, that's the case in Birmingham. You have a horrible school system in the form of Birmingham City Schools. It's horrible numbers. And I think that those parents have a right to be able to exit and get the hell out of that system because it's not working for their kids. And I'm writing a blog about that because I'm a little bit irritated by, all of this nonsense going on in this country where people aren't focused on who the real problem is. And it's the local government first and foremost. But everybody's swatting at flies. They're not really focused on actually making significant change. It's just like screaming about it with no goal in mind. But we're going to focus on that as well. So what I'm saying is just, here's a boundary. Over here it sucks, and over here it's good. Really good. So to sit there and hold parents captive and hold them hostage and say, you can't choose and you're stuck in this horrible situation, I don't agree with that. Don't agree with it, don't agree with it, don't agree with it. And the people who do support that, I don't know what the hell any of you are thinking. But until that's fixed, until we figure out a new way to fashion public education to where it works, and it works for all children, because our public education system works great if you live in the right area. And it is horribly wrong if you don't live in the right area. And it shouldn't be like that. But we haven't thought through those problems because public education loves not to change, and they love to do the same things, but they want more of your money. You see, they want more money, but we don't get the results when they do get them because it's the same people that the reason when we're in this situation, it's the same people making the decisions, but now they just have more money. So no, that's how change happens with decisions like this. And I think that it's absolutely positive, and I think it's a good decision. And so, yes, if a state allows that, then special education funding would need to, in order to support those children, the rules for special education would need to fall in line with whatever that state flexibility is, so that the parent has options and the child has access to FAPE. Okay. But like I said, with regards to this, the decision had to do with Montana. So I haven't looked to see how their state rules are written when it comes to special education and how that's potentially impacted. And each state's going to look a little bit different. Okay. But as I said in the beginning, there's already mechanisms within the existing special education law to where private schools do have access to special education funding in collaboration with the public school system.